a friend made me a pair of shoes, and after about 4 or 5 months of wearing them, because I loved them, they were so good looking, that all of my knee pain went away. And I had like 15, 20 years of knee pain, and my hip discomfort, sometimes at night or laying in one spot for too long sitting. I had shin splints, I had Achilles tendonitis, I had plantar fasciitis in my feet, my big toe hurt, all on and off for 15, 20 years. And all of that went away, and I said, oh my gosh, I've got to get this. I got to let everyone know about this. But I didn't know why I had that pain in the first place, and I didn't know what it was about these shoes that changed it. And I told my friend who made the boots for me, and he goes, yeah, a lot of my clients tell me that their lower back pain goes away. And I was like, well, why? And he talked over my head. I didn't really understand it. So I nerded out, and here's what I found out. Like, it was way more than that. I found out that if you have a poorly shaped shoe that makes your foot like be different, like bends the big toe in, that's the big one. Well, let me start. I'm trying to make it super easy for everyone to understand, because this is going to change the world, the more people who can understand this. So basically, all these years and all the studying, I got 10 Google Docs of all this information. I watched, I don't know how many videos, all the medical research, talked to orthopedists and foot doctors, podiatrists, and I interviewed them. And then finally, I sat down with this doctor. And he'd been a foot doctor for 30 years. And I said, can I explain this to you and see if I get it right? I'm trying to make it so everyone can understand it. And I explained it to him, and he said, that's exactly right. And he clarified a couple things, but he said, that's exactly right. And then I showed him the boot. And I said, this is what fixed my pain. And I explained it to him. And he said, if everyone made shoes like this, he said, there wouldn't be as much of a need for orthopedists or really podiatrists, foot doctors. And so this is what he told me. And so that's what he told me. But here's what I found out. Basically, and there's so many theories, and everyone's trying to sell you inserts and sell you surgeries and sell you all these things on all these videos, but they're not trying to fix the root of the problem. So here's basically what it is. The root cause of, and here's the list. This is the list. It was so long that I couldn't just memorize it. So let me just read to you what happens when your arch gets weak. The arch in your shoe, in your feet, when it gets weak, which is either high arch or flat arch, when it gets weak, and there are a few things that cause it to get weak, but when it gets weak, here are all the problems. So if you have any of these, it's because you have a weak arch. And you need to get shoes, not necessarily ours, but you need to get shoes that fix it. And I'm going to explain to you what you look for in a shoe, okay? So if you have flat foot, high arch pain, like plantar fasciitis, if you have abductor hallucis strain, you have bunions, deformed toes, which are hammer toes or club toes. You know when your second toe to your big toe is taller? That's called a club toe. I used to have that, but my toe went back to normal again when I started wearing these. Big toe pain, bone spurs, Morton's neuroma, tarsal tunnel syndrome, which is heel and arch pain, nerve pain, ingrown toenails, corns, heel ache, ball of foot pain, navicular syndrome, which is foot bone pain, and then the ankle, that was just the foot, and all caused by having a bad shaped shoe, by having a weak arch, really. Easily sprained ankles is because of your shoe. Ankle pain, Achilles tendonitis, I had that. Tarsal tunnel syndrome, which is an ankle pain. Calf pain and tightness. Shin pain, shin splints. Anterior compartment syndrome. Knee pain, which is patellar tendonitis. Iliotibial band syndrome, which is the tendon going up to the bottom of the knee, to the side of the knee, and to above the knee or under the knee is the patellofemoral pain. ACL ruptures, MCL ruptures, hamstrings, pulled hamstrings all the time in the lower hamstrings, hip pain, lower back pain, osteoarthritis. All of those are caused, according to all the medical websites, are caused by having a weak arch. That's it. Your arch gets weak. That's what it all boils down to. And I was like, that's simple, but no one made it simple. Hey, have our surgery. Schedule your first one of many today. Hey, get our inserts, which are supposed to be terrible for you. buy this, do that, and come see us today. Instead of, here's how you fix it. So let me tell you what causes it, okay? You have to know this. All of those problems are caused by the weak arch, but what causes a weak arch? And what can you do to change it? I tell you this, if you can get this word out, help me get the word out, not necessarily for our shoes, but get the word out. Guys, 30 million people visit a foot doctor every year. 20 million people visit an orthopedist. There are 1 million knee surgeries. There are 500,000 hip surgeries. There are 300,000 lower back surgeries. So many of those, probably the majority of those, are caused by having a weak arch. And here's what causes it, is when your big toe, the big one is, the big culprit, is when your big toe, check this out, when it gets out of alignment. When you're wearing a shoe that has a narrow pointed toe, and it makes your toes go like that, boom, you're overstretching the ligaments and tendons that are all attaching to these bones here on your arch. Your big toe, that's it. When your big toe curves in like that, that weakens your arch. Boom, it's over. That's the big one. It's so simple. If you keep your toes straight and aligned, that does it. So shoes that curve your toes in, that's it. That is the main reason why people get weak arch. So what we do, we're using the Munson last, or modified to look beautiful. We don't want a clown toe on the top. So we have like a first, second generation Munson last that we've altered a little bit. And it has all of those orthopedic shapes, so you walk, mimics barefoot walk. But there are other shoes that do it too, so you don't have to just get ours. But look for a shoe that has a straight inner line, so your toe doesn't get pushed over. Also, a wide toe box. You want to have a wide toe box here. Check this out. Every time you step, all the weight, sometimes, if these are your bones in your foot, they spread out up to 1/2 inch. Some people, up to 1/2 inch, they spread out. If there's nowhere to go, you're screwed. So you want to keep your toe straight, so a straight inner line, and then you want to have a wide toe box. You want to have a low heel, okay? These are not just Dave's ideas. These are widely known as the biomechanics. You want your foot to function like it is when it's barefoot. So if you have too much weight, all your weight on your heel is where that supports all your heel, and then the outer side here, that's where it's supposed to support all the weight. But if you have too high of a heel, it pushes the center of gravity, the center of balance, and it puts weight on your arch, and it starts pressing it, and finally it just gives up on life if your heels are too high. And so you start having all this pain, and then having arch support. Everyone that I've read, except for the people selling it, say that arch support is of the devil. And here's why. Your arch is like this, relaxed, and then it expands out, it flattens. Then every step, it's like this. This is exaggerated. This is what the foot doctor told me. He goes like this, like this, like this, like this. And as soon as you put it up here like this, it stops the pain if you have foot pain, but it just stays there. So then it atrophies and gets really weak. Everyone says it. The arch support is horrible for you. Harvard says it. All these places say it. So let me show you real quick. Basically, it's like this. Imagine these are left and right foot. As soon as your arches get weak, they drop, they sag a little bit, okay? So like this, and then they sag a little bit, just a little bit, like 1/4 inch. They just drop down because your arch is weak. And then, but what that does, watch this. So they sag in, and then, get this. So you go like this, it changes, and this is exaggerated, of course, it changes it, and now your knee has tendons going up it and ligaments and all that, and they're being stretched, or they're having to overcompensate for a weak one that's no longer doing its job because it's out of alignment. So let me show you on this skeleton. I just got this guy. Haven't even named it yet. Him. So check this out. So as soon as your arch gets weak, boom, see that? As soon as it leans in, it goes like this. Now it leans in, and look at the knee. It just goes in like that. So now your knees go in like that. See that? This is exaggerated, of course. Your knees go in. See the angle here? Boom. But now look up at the hips. So as soon as this goes in, look at the ball that go on your femur that goes into the hip socket. Now, see that? Now the ball is going in a different angle into your ball socket, your hip socket. And now you're like, why am I having all these hip pains? And then I have this adductor strains, and I have this hernia surgeries, and I have all these things. And then that goes up. So when that leans in, that adjusts all the ligaments and tendons and all the muscles and the angles of sockets, and that goes up into the lower back. And so that's what all the medical science is saying. Get this, as soon as your arch gets weak, okay, that comes from having too high of a heel. That comes from also having toe spring, too much toe spring. So if the toe on the boot is like this, and you're like, oh, that looks cool, okay, and the toe's way up there like that, they say that now, when you stretch out like that, it extends. All this here is stretched out, and now you have, it's just in a constant state of hyperextension, and then when it relaxes, it's just weak. Your arch just gets weak. So toe spring, too much toe spring, too high of a heel. You want to look for an inner line, a straight inner line, so your toe doesn't bend in. You want a wide toe box here, okay? You want a wide toe box so you have room to expand. You want a snug heel. So here's the deal: the waist of the shoe here and the heel. If your foot is fixed, now your foot's not going to be slopping along like that. Hold on. I have an alarm. Isn't that nice? I have this alarm. Instead of beep, 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 it has this chant music. So you have this right heel, the straight inner line, wide toe box. You have, looks prettier. We wore this around Italy, so it's kind of scratched up, but it starts off like this. You want to have so if the front half, if the back 2/3 is kind of snug, then your feet don't wander around. If only the middle of your shoe is snug and the heel is loose and the front's loose, then it's going to be pivoting like that, and it's going to widen out your shoe and your heel, and it's going to be sloppy in there. If you just have a tight heel, it's going to swivel from the back. So you want the arch and the heel tight, and that makes it so that your foot doesn't get sloppy in there and bang your toes side to side. You want it to be like it is when you're barefoot. No padding. Look up how bad padding is for you and how it magnifies the shock. There's the head of the sports medicine and rehabilitation at Harvard University wrote a big paper on this and a whole big thing about it, about how minimal or no padding is the best for you for bone density and for running and all that sort of thing. But you got to build up for that. No arch support. So we have this really tight arch. So it's arch support from above. It's like it lets your arch expand and contract. It lets it exercise so it stays strong. But so we have the arch, it kind of like a baby jumper in a doorway. You don't let them just fall, but they still can exercise. So we have this really tight arch. So why we had to have it made in Italy, because it's so tight in there. We couldn't find places that could stitch that so narrow in here. And then we have a twisted last. So what this does, and if you can get these, Lucchese has a pair, Alden does a twisted last on some things. The mechanics of a step is like this. This will be exaggerated. You come down, see this rubber heel? You come down on the outside, where all the weight, and then you go down here on the side, and then when you get up to here, and your heel starts coming up, your ankle rotates a little bit. It rolls. Or they say pronates a little bit, and you come in like that. So it comes down. The solid, really hard outer line here is really good for supporting weight. And then your heel comes off, and your foot rolls over, and then it launches you off. Your toes go bing, and they dig into the ground, and they push off, and it propels you forward. So they say you want to have good toe flex. If the front part here is too stiff, it puts all the work on the ankle. And then your toes don't work anymore, and then they get weak, and that weakens your arch. So you want to have a flexible toe. You want to have you want to have, if it's too stiff, you're going to get a weak arch from just inactivity. But then, if it's too narrow, here's what happens. You roll, and you roll too much, and you come off of your big toe, you overpronate. Everyone pronates. You overpronate and then you come off, that starts hurting your big toe, all that work on your big toe, and that also hurts your arch. So those are the things you look for in a good shoe, is the straight inner line, the wide toe box, the flexible toe. You have a low heel or no heel, you have no padding, and you have no arch support. That's the ideal of what you're going for. The cushier you have it for your feet. Also, when you have padding, it distributes the load, and now all of a sudden the arch is now taking more of the load that the outer side is supposed to take. And now it's overworking and it gets tired too. All of those things make your foot go, and just lean a little bit, and that goes all the way up, and that's what hurts. So when you're looking for a shoe, look for, particularly if you can't find anything else, straight inner lines where your big toe's not coming over, that's the big one, and then a wide toe box so your toes can expand, your feet can expand when you take a step. But then all of the other, that's all the biomechanics of a shoe. And that's what you want to look for in a shoe. If you're having all these pains and problems, look at barefoot shoes also. If you have bunions, I know I've had my nephew started wearing barefoot shoes, and that really helped him with all of his pain. Orthopedists and podiatrists hate this subject. And so, because 30 million people go to them every year, 50 million together. But not all of them. A lot of them try to heal you, but a lot of them just treat the pain. I was talking to a nurse the other day. She said the problem nurses have with doctors is they're treating the pain, but they're not treating the root of why they are hurting. And let's get rid of that permanently, the root cause for this. They're like, oh, you have pain in there. Here's some medicine, and we'll take that out. We'll just schedule your surgery today, and we'll remove that. It's either lazy medicine, or it is they don't know what to do, or they're just in a hurry. The more patients they see, let's just write you a prescription and get you out of here, instead of the root cause. And so this is root cause. The reason you have all these pains is because your arch is weak and it tilted you, or your arch is weak and you have a high arch. So if you underpronate, so everyone steps down, and then you roll off of your pinky toes, that gets you a high arch, which is also a weak atrophied arch. So if you don't pronate right, if you don't pronate in just the right spot, if you overpronate, if your body over rolls, or it underpronates or supinates, that is the other one. So that's all of the research that I dug up over the last few years in a really simplified way. Keep your arch strong. In order to do that, have your toes straight, okay? No arch support, toes straight, no padding, and that'll help you a ton. Thank you.